Starlight, star bright, we create a feast tonight. I love you, colorful. Keep us full of life. Keep us shining, shining bright. Starlight. Hi, welcome to Starlight Eats. My name is Jill. I am here today to show you something really special. It's my Aunt Vernie's pie. Now today, she normally made the apple pie. I love apple pie, but I am going to make a blueberry, fresh blueberry today. That is kind of my favorite. I love cherry too. Oh, what pie don't we like? Okay. So, but the big key ingredient here and the big key thing is her crust. She taught me when I was 12 years old how to make crust, and she wasn't actually teaching me. She was teaching my sister-in-law, and I don't think she learned anything, but I certainly did. So, first thing we're doing is we're starting with a little bit of flour on the... Now, I use a pizza stone. The pizza stone works really well because it's really cold and it's a circle surface, so you know that you're going to have the exact right circle for your pie. So I'm just going to sprinkle a little. Now there's nothing on the stone at all. I'm just sprinkling a little flour on there. That's just my start. And I've already got a half cup of the shortening in the bowl, and the shortening is something I want to talk to you about too, because you can actually get a little healthier shortenings. This is a vegetable shortening, but you can buy in the health food store, you can buy very pure vegetable shortenings as well. And so it's just really important to consider that for your pie, and you can do it with a little bit of butter. I find it's a little harder to roll out, but this is a half a cup. And then we are starting with 1 cup flour, and then the total is 2 cups of flour. And I actually cut back the shortening a little bit on there because I really not great about that much shortening. So we're putting it into the bowl. Now I have this little wonderful tool, and it is just turning the shortening into the flour. So we're just mixing it in like that. There is a trick you can do. You can put the flour and the shortening, just what we have here, into a Tupperware, seal the Tupperware lid on, and shake it really hard. That actually works. I have done that before. What it's basically doing, all you're doing is you're mixing the shortening into the flour and getting them a real powdery fine, so that it is little granules of the shortening. Just really mixing them together. Going wild and crazy here. It's so exciting. Okay, so there it is. And it's just getting more and more coated. You can kind of tell that I'm getting wilder and crazier, and it's going everywhere. No. So there it is. So that's pretty much all we do with that. And see, that's just with a half a cup. So a half a cup of shortening. So I think Aunt Vernie overdid it on the shortening years ago, but I love her to pieces, and this is an amazing, either way, it's a lot of shortening. So now we're just throwing our little crumbs in there. Don't worry, I washed the countertops immaculately before I did this, like my Aunt Marie. Okay, so there it is. And now I have actually ice water, and I literally put ice cubes in there. The colder water, the better, okay? Whoops, wait, one more thing. You have to put the salt. So we're just gonna sprinkle a little salt through there. And then we're going to mix that a little bit. It's in there. It's in there good. Cannot take the salt out once it's in there. Okay. And then we're just going to very carefully add a little bit. It's 2/3 cup of ice water, but we're actually only just going about half. And then I'm going to stir it. So yes, Aunt Bernie actually used to make this the night before. So if you can think ahead and make this the night before, it's even better. The main thing that you're doing with the ice water is you're just making it become a nice cold paste. So that is pretty good. And I don't think we're adding any more water. So you can do that just so that it becomes nice and solid. Okay? So that's why I like to keep just adding it slowly. Okay? So then I'm going to take about half of that out. And we're going to plop it right here on our pizza stone. Now it's a little piece of ice in there. I am going to make it into a little circle, then we're going to turn it and press it a little bit. I'm only going to do that a couple of times. We want to keep it really tender, so you don't want to get it too full of the flour. Now I'm taking my turning pin and then I am slowly working it outward. And you can take a little bit more flour and just kind of sprinkle that on your rolling pin. And then we're going out to the edges very gently and very carefully. Just making sure that that is very smooth. And sprinkle a little flour as you see if it starts to pop up. You don't want it to be sticky. It's okay to add a little flour, you just don't want to have to turn it too much. If we can get it in one roll out, we're good. So gently out to the edges, that's what I love about the pizza stone. It actually gives you that perfect square, or circle. Okay, now I'm going to take a really sharp knife and just hit the edges. And that just breaks it off. I'm going to throw our little extra pieces back into the bowl for the next ones. And now I'm going to take a very sharp pancake turner and I'm going to go gently under this. Just around the edges. You may have to do it one more time. Sometimes it is a little tricky because it's very soft and tender. But we can do this. Again, this is why it's really good for it to be super cold, because, and that's why the pizza stone I think helps as well, because it's so tender. The colder, it's more firm. Okay, we're going to do it. I think one turn here. So I've got my pie dough, or my pie ready here, and got it right there. Now we're just going to flip this over. So I'm making it, you see, into just a little 1/4. I just folded it over, then I'm going to take it right over here and unfold it. And that looks pretty beautiful, I think. Whoops. Pretty tender, pretty tender. Okay, there we go. Well, it turned out pretty darn good. We're just gonna, I don't like to have to do it twice because it just stays more tender if you can keep it in there once. Just rolling it out once is what I mean. If you have to turn it over and do it again, it's okay. But it will be much lighter and flakier like this. So it's rough, but it's in there and ready to go. That's our bottom. That is our bottom crust. And now we're going to do the same. I'm going to just be right back because I'll go ahead and roll this one out and then I'll be right back for you. So we're back making beautiful blueberry pie today. There's my crust. The bottom is ready to go, and I did go ahead and get the top ready. Now, I did go ahead and we're trying to do healthy, but we're trying to do quick as well. So I did do one of the canned blueberry pie mixes. All it is, though, is blueberries and a little sugar. So make sure that you look at your can, look at the ingredients, because if you're getting it in a health food store, just check the ingredients, make sure that it doesn't have anything in there you don't want, and it's okay. Really, basically, all that is in those mixes, it's just going to be corn syrup to make it thick, or a flour to make it thick, and that's what makes it thick like this. And it does have a few berries, but it's not like, you know, it's not going to be enough, but it's quick. So that's our good start. We don't have to do a lot of cooking then on the side. So again, just watching, buying it at the health food store, it's okay. Pie filling. Okay. So now we are adding beautiful blueberries, and I'm just going to add the whole pint because we want it to be very, very blueberry. So there they go. And then we're doing, I sliced up some pears, and we are adding those. You can just do blueberry if you want. You don't have to add pears. Oh my goodness, look at that. It is gorgeous. I'm just going to gently stir that together, and then we're going to add just a little bit of vanilla. I'm just going to put, let's see, I'm going to put like a teaspoon. A little extra vanilla is always kind of nice. So 1 teaspoon is good. And I am going to stir that gently together. I'm going to just keep it going there and add like a little bit of salt. I do use sea salt. Sea salt is good. And we're not going to do that over that just in case something crazy happens here. Just about a ½ teaspoon of salt. You can imagine it could get too salty real quick. But sea salt is good. You can get that at your local health food store as well. And we're stirring in that pinch of salt. And it's looking beautiful. Very, very, very. Now I'm adding a tablespoon of flour. This is important because you want it to be thick enough and not be runny and too juicy. You want it a little juicy. 1 tablespoon of flour is nice. That is going to help it to be very thick. Now my Auntie Vernie, when she used to make her pies, just so you know, you can do this exact same thing, but just do apples. You know, same thing, just finding a nice ingredient recipe for the apples, apple pie, just probably like 3 to 4 Granny Smith apples with a cup of sugar. You want to put plenty of sugar, and you can use healthy brown sugar, and then just a little butter, vanilla, same thing. But with that, you just place the apples in the bottom of your pan, in the bottom of your crust. And then you just sprinkle a tablespoon of flour over, sprinkle the cup of sugar over, sprinkle a pinch of salt, put just a few little pallets of butter, and then you're all set. So you don't really do any mixing with that. Now we're just mixing because that was the blueberry. So that's looking beautiful. Look at that gorgeousness. Okay, and then we're gonna do a little bit of butter. I'm just going to cut off 2 tablespoons of butter, and we are going to add that just by slicing and just dolloping it around so that it's going to cook in as you're cooking, just some little pieces here and there. Okay, so that's what that looks like. Now I have my crust ready to go, as we did like the other one. And we're just gonna lay it on here. That works really well because crust is the hard part. And then we're gonna pinch the crust up on the edges nicely together. You'll kind of grab a hold of the bottom one a little bit there, pressing. And It's nice to have kind of a little thick edging. Now my mom used to take the little scraps that she had left out that were rolled out, sprinkle them with cinnamon and sugar, and bake those on a cookie sheet, and they were just amazing. It's fresh pie dough, for God's sakes. Okay, so that's what that looks like. We have it just kind of pinched up. Now, there's a couple of ways you can do this. You can take your finger and push it inward like this, and that's going to make like a little point, or you can just squeeze with your thumb and forefinger between each one. And this gives it a nice little twisted edge. That sounds like a scary movie. Twisted edge. Okay. Beautiful. La la la. Okay. Yay. Now we're going to sprinkle the top with a little sugar and cinnamon. You can do this if you want. If you don't want the cinnamon, okay, whichever. You can just sprinkle that with just a little sugar. But I think that makes it nice. Now we're going to take, I'm just going to wipe off those edges a little on the pie shell. And then we're going to take our sharp knife, and we can just make little designs. I don't really worry too much about this. I'm not really Martha Stewart about this part, but I mean, good Lord, she's like putting all kinds of cool little extra designs on there, and you know, for me, it's the taste at the end that's the best, but I make it, my mom used to do this, so I guess that's why I do it, but just kind of a fun little shape, little design, and there it is. And we are going to bake this at 375. It is in a glass container, so you always want to bake just about 15 to 20 degrees less. Normally you would bake this around 425 or 400. We're going to go down to 375, and we're going in the oven. All right, so we're going to come back and show you the final result. We're back with our beautiful blueberry pie, and it's very hot, so I want to show you how pretty it is, though. Okay, there it is. Oh. Isn't it lovely? I think everyone will really enjoy it. Thank you so much for joining me. I did end up baking it at 375 for 35 minutes. So just kind of watch it. You want to see that it's bubbling in the center, coming out of your little decorative area. And once it's bubbling there and your crust looks nice and brown, then you're usually all set. But it is a lovely pie. So bon appetit. It's going to be nice and flaky crust. I can feel it. And enjoy. Thanks for joining Starlight Eats.